Welcome to Orlando, Florida for Game 5 of the 2020 NBA Finals, where the Los Angeles Lakers, with a commanding 3-1 series lead, are looking to close out the undermanned Miami Heat and tie the Boston Celtics NBA record with their 17th championship. These playoffs have had some incredible individual performances, but so far the superstar duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis has been an unstoppable combination, and Miami will need to keep both of them from getting going early if they want to keep this one under control. Meanwhile, the Heat are looking to get Duncan Robinson good looks tonight, as his first shot is a three-pointer up and in from the right corner. The Lakers are looking to push tempo early, and here is Caldwell Pope streaking up the sideline, looking ahead to Davis, who gets the easy two inside. Here come the Heat with a cross-court pass from Nunn to Butler. Butler looks for contact as he forces his way inside, and it looks like it was partially blocked by Davis. Now here's LeBron at full speed attacking down the middle. Both teams are playing at breakneck pace right now. Now James drives right and takes a hard foul from Crowder and hits the deck. You know, Clark, that looked like a very excessive hit, and sure enough, James is taking exception, and he and Crowder are in each other's faces. Push is coming to shove here, and Butler and the other Heat players are getting involved too. The coaches are trying to keep their benches back, and security is now on the floor trying to separate players. Wow, this has really escalated to a dangerous level. Finally, James appears to have turned his back on Crowder, who's still jawing at him. James is now forcibly being stopped by one of the police officers. Clark, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. LeBron had already distanced himself from the scuffle, but the officer isn't letting him return to the bench. It seems James and the officer are exchanging words again. I'm not sure what prompted what appears to be a heated discussion we are now witnessing between LeBron James and one of the arena police officers. James is now walking away from the officer, who's still shouting something at James. And wait, the officer just drew his handgun and is pointing at LeBron James. I can't believe it. What could have possibly caused him to...
It comes as a great shock, around the age of 5 or 6 or 7, to discover that the country to which you have pledged allegiance, along with everyone else, has not pledged allegiance to you. It comes as a great shock to discover that Gary Cooper, killing off the Indians, when you were rooting for Gary Cooper, the Indians were you. It comes as a great shock to discover the country which is your birthplace and to which you owe your life and your identity has not in its whole system of reality evolved any place for you.
It comes as a great
The
shock
disaffection,
around the age of 5,
the demoralization,
or 6, or 7,
and the gap
to
between
discover
one
that
person
the
and
country
another
to which you have
only
pledged
on the
allegiance
basis
along
of the color
with everyone
of their
else
skin
has not pledged
begins there.
allegiance to you.
And accelerates through a whole
It comes
life.
as a great shock
around the age of 5 or 6
By the
Gary
time
Cooper
you are 30,
killing
to discover
off
that the country to
Indians,
which
have
you
been
have
through a
pledged
certain
allegiance
kind of
you
meal.
were rooting
everyone
for
else
the
has
most
not
serious
pledged
effect of the
allegiance
the
meal
Indians were you.
you've been
It comes
through
as a great
is
shock to
again
It
discover
comes
that
as a
Gary
not the
great
Cooper
shock
catalog
to
of
killed off
disaster,
discover
Indians.
the country which
the
is
policeman,
When you
your
were rooting for Gary
birthplace
the
Cooper,
taxi
and to
driver,
which
the Indians
you
were
owe
you.
your
the
life
waiters,
and
It comes as
identity
a great shock to
landlady,
discover
has
the
not
country
in its
which
the
is your
whole
landlord,
system
birthplace
of
and to
reality
which you owe your
evolved
life and your
any
the
identity
place
insurance
for
company,
has
you.
not in the whole
the
system of
millions of
reality
people,
evolved
Affection,
any place
24
for you.
hours a
demoralization,
day,
and the
The
gap between
disaffection,
one
the
person and
spell
demoralization,
out to
another,
and the
you
gap
only
that
between
on
one
the
you
person
are
basis
and
of the
another
color
a
only
of their
worthless
on the
skin,
basis of the
human
color
begins
of the skin
there
begins
and
there
accelerates
and
through a
accelerates through a
whole
whole
lifetime.
lifetime.
Sergeant Duke, when you first saw this videotape, you were shocked by what you saw, weren't you?
I wasn't shocked, no.
When you first saw this videotape, did you believe that it possibly contained excessive force by these officers?
I never form an opinion until I get all the facts.
Sergeant Duke, when you first looked at this videotape, did you possibly believe that it contained excessive force? Yes or no?
I'd have to say no.
I walk in this world confused, looking for my own soul, desiring answers for my country of allegiance. Because I can't grasp what a great America is. But you say make it great again. If America were great, then I would be able to walk on the street without fearing those who are supposed to protect me. If America were great, then I would be able to go shop without being stalked. If America were great, then black women wouldn't have been raped and black men wouldn't be shot down. Black bodies wouldn't have been killed, sold, and shipped. If America were great, then the only wall we'd be building is a wall of love instead of hate. If America were great, I would not have to plead for the rights promised to me. So why do we say America is great when all there is pain, all there is agony, and a war for black livelihood, destruction, castration, mutilation, smothering the identity of black people? Is that what makes America great? Because it destroys, it fights. It's great because it's not afraid to go against people who do not follow suit in the white American society. A society that holds people down based off color. A society that holds people down based off gender. Tell me, is that why it's great? The fact that you can hold your foot on our neck to keep us down, subordination. The fact that America seems to be on the top is a great nation. But how did America rise to this greatness you see? It rose on the backs of my ancestors, my black past, my black life. If America were great, then blackness would be seen as great too. Black souls you would appreciate if America were great. Because America is not great without the black people that made it. America is not great without the economy that was put on our backs, along with the whips and welts that was our pain. But your trophy, America, is not great. But my people are. My black people, my blackness, my proudness, my heritage, my ancestors, they are great. Great even though they are treated like animals. Great even though they're treated like savages. Great even though they are treated like inhuman objects, commodities, items that are not precious, that are not cared for, that are not thought about, that are not loved. They are still great. But America was never great for us. Because if America were great, then we would not be bleeding for black lives and black justice. If America were great, then I would be free.
Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't never gonna fly.
I can't breathe. I have my ID right here. My name is Elijah McClain. That's my house. I was just going home. I'm an introvert. I'm just different. That's all. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. Why are you attacking me? Forgive me. Forgive me. All I was trying to do was become better. I will do it. I will do anything. Sacrifice my identity. I will do it. You're all phenomenal. You're all beautiful, and I love you. Try to forgive me. Ow! That really hurt. You all are very strong. Teamwork makes the dream work. I'm sorry. I was just trying to do that. I wasn't trying to do that. I can't breathe.
I hold this blood clot in my hand like a plum, and I wonder if white hands would have prayed to Billie Holiday if she were ugly. I asked him why he is afraid of dogs, why he never learned to swim, and his tongue was crushed to the floor of his mouth by words too heavy for the English his grandfather was forced to learn and whisper. I should have thought before teasing, but the word privilege got stuck in my throat like curdled milk in a straw or blood clots in a vein that never throb pulse thundered against my eardrum at the sound of dogs with bared teeth, growl of oppressor, saliva dripping on ground forbidden except for the tending. I flinch at my indecency and choke on the word instead of finding an apology because I was taught privilege meant racist, meant shame, meant guilty hands, and I look at my white hands and don't know how to hold compassion without guilt because I ask him why he never learned to swim, and he says his parents are afraid of the water, meaning their grandparents were forbidden from learning to swim because drownability was just another box that could mean tame, mean safe, just like the dogs meant protection, meant safe, just like the whip and the chains and the rope, just like illiteracy. And when I asked him why he is afraid of dogs, he said, dogs look at him and lick their jowls, drooling at the thought of the strange fruit before them, dark flesh like chocolate without the poison, and only half the forbidden charm of biting into something warm. He said he looks at dogs' teeth and wonders how it feels for them to tighten like a rope around neck, throb pulse thundering, blood out or downward draining to make the face a little whiter as a grace before death. I asked him why he never learned to swim, and he asks why I cry when Billie Holiday sings, but I never learned the names Thomas Ship or Abram Smith. He asked why I can hold Billie Holiday in my hands, why her beauty makes her worthy, why her talent makes her worthy, asks if it makes me feel better to consider Lady Day an exception to the rule of lesser than. And the word privilege slips from my throat like a coughed up blood clot from a cancerous lung, and I hold the dripping red thing in my pale hand out to him like an offering. He thanks me for the gesture, and I wince at that word, gesture, wince at the truth of it, wince at the fact that I have never once held a dark and juicy plum in my hand and shuddered to think, is this what my ancestors looked like? Strange, dark fruit, juicy dripping when bitten by sharp white teeth. I wipe the blood on my pants and I walk away. I get to walk away.
If America were a love song, I would be the weeping willow that sprung from the bone seeds, strange fruit, and wet hymns of my ancestors. I inherited a crooked spine from my great-grandmother, and every night before bed I prayed to her. Hallowed be thy wounds that ye bared from my rest, and I proudly wear thy crooked spine in remembrance of your body that was broken and buried for me. In 8th grade, I learned how to pray to pale Jesus, and I asked my teacher how I could be his feet and his hands, look more like him, behave more like him, eat like him. And he told me to get down on my knees, stretch out my palms in the air, and cut my hair so it did not fall below my ears, and I could hear God when he called me out to drown in the water. I cut my roots with a scythe, like I would have if I was singing about the cool water, bending in the sun under the foot of God, praying to Betsy Ross not to stitch my back with stars and stripes. Now, as I carry a crooked spine, black flowered body, and my father drives me under the ghostly lights of my city, looking up at black bodies on billboards that plead for me to see and remember. I pray that God wash the blood from the streets into the philtrum of my lips and see and remember the blood shed for me. that I will take this fruit and eat all of it and regret giving thanks to a country that washes its hands of me when I tell it what I want to be when I grow up, as if it knows I am generations of strange fruit seeds that drop from magnolia trees, and I fear my bone seeds will bore through my lungs and out of my neck by a man's hands that just wanted to taste the fruit that his ancestors planted.
And now the boy is turning to me. Tell me, he asks, what have you done with my future? What have you done with your life? And I tell him that I have tried to keep the memory alive, that I have tried to fight those who would forget. Because if we forget, we are guilty. We are accomplices. And then I explained to him how naive we were, that the world did know and remained silent. And that is why I swore never to be silent, whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim.
The political philosophy of black
Silence
nationalism only
encourages the
means that the
tormentor,
black man should control the
never the
politics
tormented.
and the politicians in his own
Sometimes
community.
we must
The time when
interfere.
white people can come in
When
our
human
community and
lives
get
are
us to vote for
endangered,
them
when
so that
human
they can be
dignity
our
is in
political leaders
jeopardy,
and tell us
national
what to do
borders and
and what
sensitivities
not to
become
do
irrelevant.
is long gone.
By
Wherever
the
men
President
By
and
the
of the
same
women are
United
token,
States of
persecuted
time that
because
the
of their
America,
same white
race,
man
a
religion,
proclamation,
knowing that your
or
eyes are
political
too far
whereas
views,
open
on the
that
to send
22nd
puts
day
another
of
must,
Negro into the
September,
community
at
to
that
in the
get
year of our
you
moment,
Lord,
and
become the
me and
center of
support
the
him so he can
1862,
use him to lead
a
us astray.
proclamation was issued by
Those
the
days are
President of the
long gone
United
too.
States
The
containing,
political
among other
philosophy of black
things, the
nationalism
following, to
only
wit,
means that if
By
you
the
and
time
I
you
are
that
are
on the
going to
30,
first day
live
of
in a
you
black
have
January,
community,
in the
been
year of our
through
and that's
Lord,
where we're going to
waves of
live, because
eternity.
1863,
as soon as
And
all
you
we've
move
persons
into
held
rode
one
as
of
seas
theirs,
slaves
of
with an
as
age
soon
to
as you
be
move
vicissitude.
or
out
You've been
designated
of the
through
part
the
of
black
the state,
community,
sin,
enter
not the
their
into the
community,
world
catalog of
shall then
it's
disasters,
be
next
in
door
the
for you
rebellion
at the time.
against the
policeman,
United
the
But they're
States,
taxi
going
driver,
shall be
and
the
you're
then
right
waiter,
there
the
all
thenceforth
by yourself
landlady,
forever
again.
the
free.
landlords,
We
In
must
the
the
executive
understand
banks,
that
government
the
of the
politics are
United
a
insurance
States,
committee,
companies,
including
and
the
we must
military
the
know
and the
what
men
naval
of
politics
authority
is
detail,
thereof,
supposed to do.
will
24
recognize and
hours of
maintain the freedom
every
of such
day,
persons,
which spell
and will
out to
do no
you
act
that
or acts
you
to
are
repress such
a
persons or any of
worthless
them in any
human
efforts they
being.
may make for their actual freedom.
what have you done with my future?
I pledge allegiance to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with my God.
I pledge allegiance to the Latino community and our heritage, to one day have equality, respect, and a better future for all.
I pledge allegiance to friendship and love. I'm just really interested in creating energies that perpetuate good vibes and positivity and, I don't know, creating happiness in other people's lives.
I pledge allegiance to the ideals of our Constitution, which for too many years were only actualized by white citizens. And I yet believe in the spirit of that quintessential American Fannie Lou Hamer, that until we're all free, ain't nobody free.
I pledge allegiance to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
It's legendary.
I'm feeling narcotic, I'm feeling unwell. Seems like our bodies are products for sale. Liberty, nothing but words on the bell. Watching the news and it's not going well. Watching the timeline, I catch us the news. They hated on rap and they hated the blues. One thing in common and it's not the music. We got the power, the shit they abusing. We got the power, but we all don't know it yet. Power is more than a gun or a fist. Power is money and money is power. Power is voice and our voice get louder. We got the power, but we all don't use it yet. Still in the prison they built in our mind. Power is knowledge and knowledge is power. Power is taking what's rightfully ours. I'm not a masochist, I'm a pacifist, but I'm at pacifist over your jaw. Stick to my morals, but more of a honor, the greater the good, the greater the loss. We need the future, they drained of the past. I'll fight for the peace that my people can't have. Young and talented, what do I lack? Heard the wrong put on for the name on my back. Any means necessary. It could get very scary. Black liberation when I kneel my obituary. Trying to educate, trying to teach like a seminary. I'ma do it right before they put me in a cemetery. They not gonna give you the knowledge you need, or tell you that Malcolm and Martin agreed. They teach you about the Gestapo in school, but now that we got our own secret police. They not gonna teach you that we ain't so different from all of the countries that taught us to hate. It's gonna take just the opposite of what they doing now to make America great. I'ma just say what's on my mind and my mental. Really only care about the fate on my kinfolk. Go too far and I'm losing my lifetime. I ain't living right if I'm living for the white side. I'm feeling narcotic, I'm feeling unwell. Seems like our bodies are products for sale. Liberty nothing but words on a bell. Watching the news and it's not going well. Watching the timeline, I catch us the news. They hated on rap and they hated the blues. One thing in common in this are the music. We got the power, the shit they abusing. We got the power, but we all don't know it yet. Power is more than a gun or a fist. Power is money and money is power. Power is voice and our voice getting louder. We got the power, but we all don't use it. It's still in the prison they built in our mind. Power is knowledge and knowledge is power. Power is taking what's rightfully ours. I'm feeling narcotic, I'm feeling unwell. Seems like our bodies are products for sale. Liberty nothing but words on a bell. Watching the news and it's not going well. Watching the timeline, I catch us the news. They hated on rap and they hated the blues. One thing in common in this are the music. We got the power, the shit they abusing. We got the power, but we all don't know it yet. Power is more than a gun or a fist. Power is money and money is power. Power is voice and our voice getting louder. We got the power, but we all don't use it. It's still in the prison they built in our mind. Power is knowledge and knowledge is power. Power is taking